What's happening, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Final Whistle Sports Podcast. I yelled into the mic there, scared Marcus a little bit, but we're here with another episode. Joe, this is the first time we've had guests since you've joined the crew. We've got Steve and Forney and Marcus from Go Talk with Marcus. Gentlemen, how are we doing? Thanks for coming on.
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great. Before we start, I just have a question specifically for Blaine. I didn't
even get the chance to introduce Joe, and you're already just going to take over the show.
I'm not taking over. Look, we love Joe. Joe's great. I just have a question. I just can't help but notice the layout of the show. And I just know what month we're in. I'm just wondering if this invite is Black History Month related at all. Because it's 3 white dudes and a black guy. I'm just curious. Nothing wrong either way. I'm just wondering if this is like my Rooney Rule invite or what's happening. I just wanted to get some clarification on that. Happy to be
great.
Always happy to be here. I just wanted to know if this is
Joe Chicklitty's take on that.
Is this my Rooney Rule invite?
This is not your Rooney Rule invite. This is authentic. This is an authentic invite because I invited you last week when it was still in January and we couldn't get it all figured out.
Bro. Last week when you invited me on the show, it was February.
It was January 31st.
He's wrong. It should have been Tuesday, the 31st. Should have been.
So not a box. I'm not box checker. So I want to.
They wanted to avoid it by getting you.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Sounds like on the way to the 11th hour. Yeah, this is definitely a Rooney Rule invite. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. I know, and I'm not wanted for real. I'm just here to check off a box. That's fine.
Yeah, I invited you for the Super Bowl episode. Yeah, real box checker.
It is. You can't not have a black guy on the show to talk about a game where for the first time ever there's 2 guys playing. You just can't. It's a box check.
Well, to be fair, I did also invite Justin and JT and the Don. So
I don't believe
it wasn't
you.
Just it wasn't
I don't believe
just
you.
An invite.
I don't believe you, Blaine. You have no credibility at all. I don't believe you.
Now you never gave me credibility from the start. So
you gotta fix that hat, dude. That hat looks.
You gotta earn it. You gotta earn it. I don't believe you. It's fine though. It's great to be here. I just had to ask.
Just because that I am only allowed on your show like once every 3 months because you can't handle me just doesn't mean you have to call me out like that, okay?
It's an honest question. Think about the times we're living in, Blaine. It's hard times for my people. I just want to make sure I'm not being used as a political blue chip. That's all.
Joe, just start the show.
I'm doing great. After that, I don't know how to say I'm doing well. Yeah, we're here, another episode. I haven't cut my hair since I joined the pod. It was the other thing I was going to say tonight, but I mean, Marcus let us off great. So here we are. We got the Super Bowl coming out, folks. We got the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh God, Blaine, I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna talk for the next hour. So
oh man. Yeah, we got them taking on the Kansas City Chiefs in Arizona on Sunday at 6:20. It's gonna be a very, very good game. Yeah, East Coast versus the Midwest, essentially. Forney, what's the rumors, reports that we're hearing on the East Coast over here in the Philadelphia area? What do you think?
You know what the vibe I'm getting is we're not used to being confident because the reality is everybody knows that this is the better team. Not to say that it's a guaranteed victory or anything, but most of the time when you're talking about Philadelphia sports, you're talking about hesitation. We don't get too confident. We're used to the letdown. So everybody's kind of guarding themselves. But I think if you ask everybody in the city, I'd say it's 80% confidence that we are going to win this game.
That's fair. No, that's fair. I was out in the public yesterday, shooting the shit with a couple different people, and they were like, this is the first time we're coming into the game feeling confident we should win this game. And it's not like what it was in 2017 where it was like, well, we're the underdogs. We're feeling like, we're just going in there just to kind of be happy. And if we win, we win. If we don't, we don't. This year, I feel like the Eagles are there to make a statement and they're there to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And they feel that, especially here in the Philadelphia area. Now, Blaine and Marcus, I know you guys are a little outside of the Philadelphia market, closer to Kansas City, or even getting the West Coast kind of feel.
Marcus is a DC guy. Come on, Joe. You know better
Oh,
than that.
Jesus. I'm sorry. I apologize for that, Marcus.
Oh, this is
Huge Midwest
definitely a
situation.
box check invite.
See, it's not my box check, it's Joe's box
invite.
check.
That is ridiculous. You know what? It's okay. It's okay.
Marcus, what's the vibe getting like national media side of things then, I guess, for both aspects?
Joe, I thought you were better than that. I thought you were.
I'll be honest with you. My issue was I never knew where he lived, and I thought it was Green Bay. So I'm like, all right, he's got to be in the kind of the Midwest area. I mean, that's fair enough.
Just
Nope.
insinuated the Packers fan.
I'll give you that. I am a Packers fan. I will give you that. This is just more and more starting to feel like a box check. It's okay. No, listen, I'm sick of Eagles fans, actually. I've been sick of Eagles fans for the last couple weeks now. Because they keep trying to adopt this underdog mentality, and the Eagles aren't underdogs. Like, they're one of the best teams in football. They might be the best team in football. Like, all you see is Eagles fans talking about oh, well, no one had the Eagles winning this amount of games. That's not true. Like, a majority of the world had the Eagles winning the division, winning at least 12 games, being a lock for a deep playoff run. Did we think they make it to the Super Bowl? No, because they have a young quarterback. But the Eagles are a good football team, and I think that Eagles fans just like to hold on to this underdog mentality that the city of Philadelphia is just a bunch of underdogs. And the Eagles aren't underdogs. The Eagles are the healthier team. The Eagles have the better defense. They have the better O-line. They have the better defense. They have the better wide receivers. The only thing they don't have better is tight end and quarterback and coach. But like, the Eagles are the better football team, and Eagles fans need to start acting like it. So that when they lose, I can enjoy it more. I won't enjoy it if Eagles thinks they're underdogs, because then they'll flip the narrative and say, well, we weren't supposed to win this game. No, I need Eagles fans we're 4 days out. I need Eagles fans to fully embrace the fact that they're the favorites to win this game because they're the better team. So when Patrick Mahomes goes out there and kills them on a leg and a half, I can enjoy the Eagles' loss more. It's just.
Hey, Marcus, have you heard of a couple of things? Obviously, the 2017 Super Bowl we've already hit on. A little movie series called Rocky, and more importantly, this one country I heard of called America that started here. Couple of underdog stories that we're used to, all starting in Philadelphia. So it's something that we're used to. They talk about it being a Philly thing. That's the Philly thing.
But they're not underdogs now. Like, let's be honest here. They're not. Like they're not. You can't be an underdog when you had one of the best records in the league, when you were the number one seed in the conference, when you have an MVP finalist, when you have one of the best offenses, one of the best defenses. The Eagles are the first team in history to have 3 players record 10 sacks. That's never happened before. This is not an underdog football team. Stop it. Like, you want to call yourself the family of Batmans? Do that. Like, you can call yourself anything, but they're not underdogs. And I get it. The city of Philadelphia is very much like, that's the personality and that is the essence of Philadelphia, is the city of the underdog. Like, I get it. But like, that's also gone because we've seen 3 major sports teams now from Philadelphia all make it to the championship something of their sport. The Phillies have done it, the Union have done it, and now the Eagles. Like, the city of Philadelphia is no longer this
respectfully with a 25-year soccer career. The Union major team? Don't know about that yet.
Well, they're not, but like, soccer's a major sport is really what I mean. But like, the Eagles this season are not underdogs. The 2017 Eagles, absolutely underdogs. This team is not. They're favorites to win the game. And I need all of you to embrace that, so that when Patrick Mahomes wins this game, I can enjoy the loss more. I'm not going to enjoy it if every time I get on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram, Eagles fans are saying, oh, we weren't supposed to be here anyway. No, you were. It's okay. Embrace it, so that when you lose, I, as a hater of Eagles fans, can enjoy y'all's suffering more. That's all.
I love it. That was fantastic. Now, see, Mark.
No, we don't even need to talk, man.
No. Flip this slightly. I believe also it is a slight media bug to put that underdog mentality label still in the Philadelphia area as well. Because I'll listen to sports talk radio here in Philadelphia, and they're like, well, yeah, like this underdog, that underdog. But like, when you talk to normal fans out there in the Philadelphia area, they're like, no, this isn't an underdog story. We're going in there confident. We should be beating the Kansas City Chiefs. We are the number 1 seed. We do have an MVP caliber player. We have the better defense. We have the better offense. I think that's just what it comes down to be. And I think that's where the narrative has switched now from the 2017. I think it's the media still putting this on the Philadelphia area. That's what I think.
I also think it's a little bit of the Philadelphia area liking that aspect of it a bit too. There's something about punching up and fighting above our weight class that we like doing, you know. Look at the Phillies World Series run. Nobody saw that coming. That was a team that had to play into the playoffs. You know what I mean? Their playoffs had to start 3 weeks before it actually did, so they even had a shot. The 2017 team, that was a team that absolutely nobody expected when we lost our quarterback 3/4 of the way through the season. So, you know, it's a mentality we've adapted not only to protect ourselves and our own emotions, but something that really gives you that roller coaster feeling. But to both your points, I don't think anybody in this area disagrees. I just think the anti-Philly bias in sports media is unbelievable. The anti-Joel, the anti-Bryce Harper, the anti-Eagles fans, like everything. It's honestly mind-blowing, but we love it because we have a saying is that nobody likes us and we don't care.
That is fair. That is fair. I mean, they still hold on to us about throwing the snowballs in at Santa, and that was from what, the 70s or 80s? That was unbelievable.
So we got good arms. What do you want me to tell you?
Yeah. Yeah. Blaine, what are you hearing out there? Out a little more on the West Coast side of things. A little time change. So that's on me, Marcus. I apologize again, you know.
Marcus is just gonna randomly hop.
I gotta be honest. When Blaine sent me the topics, I thought, I was like, why are we getting East Coast, West Coast? And it's just interesting, but no, it's okay.
Because I'm the West Coast representative. You're not. That's why.
If you're the representative of the West Coast needs a better representative.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. That's a valid assessment. I think out here it's very similar with how you guys have all articulated that the Eagles are the favorites. But Kansas City is loving that they're finally not really the true favorite. They had that feeling with how Cincinnati was trash talking a couple weeks ago, relished in that moment, and now you have the Eagles almost as the primary favorite, and it feels like because the Eagles have the advantage in probably 85% of the position groups, right? That Kansas City's like, this is a cakewalk. They're doubting us. We're going to show up, show out. Plus, they also have a chip on their shoulder. The last time they were in the Super Bowl, they got absolutely boat raced by Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So you know they're not going to want that type of showing either. And then it all comes down to the greatness of Patrick Mahomes. It's pretty self-explanatory there. If you can control 1.5 legs, Patrick Mahomes, you're going to probably win the game. Like it's pretty simplistic for the Philadelphia Eagles with that pass rush against him. So, but biggest thing is that over here, Eagles are the favorites. The Chiefs are relishing finally being a true underdog. They've kind of been the favorites each time they've been in this position these last couple of years. So taking full advantage of finally being here in an underdog story type deal.
Fair enough. Got to throw out there. Kansas City, known for their barbecue. Philadelphia, known for the cheesesteaks. Which one would you rather want? Barbecue?
Barbecue.
Give me a roast pork. That's obviously the better of these options. Come on.
Okay. Blaine?
Barbecue.
Yeah, I'm also gonna have to go barbecue. So that's a 3-1 right there. Big Philly guy.
Marcus and Blaine, do you guys even know about the roast pork sandwich?
I do. I lived in Jersey for a while, so I understand it.
That's the beauty of Philadelphia is what you think about us, it's always wrong.
Oh,
Hey, Joe can validate my mom's side's from the Philly area.
And
Only reason that Joe actually would hang out with me is because we were family friends, huh?
And somehow you're a Commanders fan instead of an Eagles fan.
Yeah, and you live in DC and you're a Packers fan, so you know the whole world.
I don't have to wear my division rivals jerseys on other people's shows.
Oh, here we go. You're gonna go right back to this now. I knew this was coming up at some point.
I'm actually working on the intro for next season after.
Oh, and do I make the intro?
That clip of you is gonna. Well, yeah, because you're doing the show, so like it's more so like by default. But yeah, that picture of you in a Dak jersey is going to be on the intro.
Honestly, I'm still upset that Joe betrayed me and decided to watch me get humiliated and not take the blame for the Final Whistle Sports podcast with me. I made the bet. It was your pick, not his. My pick. I made the bet before Joe had joined on the show, so I will humbly accept.
So that's actually the reason why he didn't go on there with you. And also, it's so much easier to laugh at your friends from afar than laugh at your friends up close.
You didn't have a problem at all.
I
Yeah.
like both. to be
That's
honest
because
with you.
I'm the reason you were there in that position.
Touche.
All right. Well,
Well,
let's stop
oh,
talking about the Commanders here. Let's talk about the Super Bowl we got here because the Commanders have no shot to make it yet. So, and they probably don't have a shot next year to make it either. So, let's move on. Let's get to some player props here. Boys, we got, offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball. What's maybe 2 or 3 of your favorite picks, player prop wise? Blaine, we'll let you go first.
I wouldn't even probably say it's a player prop, but I'll always bet the coin toss. I am a big
Boy,
coin
that's
toss
the
guy.
fun stuff. That's my next thing. Jesus.
No,
Christmas.
I'm changing the whole articulation of this.
What a
shit.
human being this guy is.
Oh.
Marcus really
prop
shook
bets
Blaine
though.
this bad. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He's got him completely off base now.
Yeah, completely off base. All right, no, I will actually do a legit prop. Player prop that I kind of liked is the what was it? I think it's Pacheco with his rushing yards. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but
This
Yeah,
guy
yeah.
comes in here with no research. Jesus
Nope.
Christ.
I
God.
just closed out the tab, so that's where I'm at.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Is that what it was? Well,
Hold
Look
on.
at you unprepared for your own show.
Yeah, Jesus. You had an
Let's
extra
see.
day to
Oh,
prepare.
and the
too.
Patrick Mahomes over 1.5 passing touchdowns. It's light work.
Jesus Christ. Final whistle burning up in hell. Stephen Forney, what do we got?
The one that I love pretty much every week of the year is the Devontae Smith touchdown. You can get decent value on it. I think it was like almost plus 185 this week. And that is a kid who, since week 1, where he had no catches, has been a top 5, top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. And you have all that attention going to A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert, especially in the red zone. A guy that's quick, twitchy, and has a great range and catches everything thrown to him. I love that. I love that bet every day of the week, and especially twice this Sunday, and especially twice on my FanDuel account this Sunday. So I'll take a Devontae Smith anytime touchdown. And I think I saw I actually, Blaine, to your point, I saw the Pacheco over yards, and I read a great article today about the Chiefs running 13 personnel, and that's exactly what's going to burn the Eagles. I think this in this matchup, you've got great linebackers. I know, in Kaiser White and TJ Edwards have had a nice season, but if you look at the teams that have burnt them, they have a little bit of a deeper tight end position than the rest. So this is going to be the best tight end room they've faced all year. So I like them to get open, but I also love them to, if you stack the box, then great, you can throw it to these guys, but if you don't, you're going to end up running it. And I think Mahomes is going to check into that. Pacheco's going to get the ball a lot this game.
It's 49.5. Like that's pretty low.
That's almost a lock.
Yeah.
Can we revisit something? I think Marcus, because your eyes came up on this one. Did you just say Devontae Smith was a top 5 to top 10 wide receiver after week 1?
Yeah,
Buddy.
I have no problems with saying that. He's been electric. Yeah, Justin Jefferson has put up an unbelievable year. He's
A
had the best
record-breaking season.
Yeah, he's had the best season I've seen from a wide receiver possibly ever. He's disgustingly filthy. But after that, if Justin Jefferson was his own tier of wide receiver this year, the next tier has to include Devontae Smith. And I'm ready to back that up.
Wow. I couldn't disagree more, but I don't know if we have the time to argue all that on this podcast. So
We'd have to take out half of the agenda if we're going to
Yeah.
stick on this topic.
that's a take. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that at all. Personally, I think he's still outside of the 20 range, maybe even 25 range. He's a good wide receiver. He's still a good young wide receiver. He definitely has the potential to be up in that top 10, but to say he's a top 5, top 10 wide receiver currently after week 1, I just think it's blasphemous. So that's all.
I don't think it is. I'm talking about that from purely the talent perspective, but we can get into that another time.
That's fair.
I will ride the Devontae Smith train all the way to the Hall of Fame.
Marcus is gonna stay on this for the next like 30 minutes now. So
Oh, I really want to, but Joe said not to, so I'm not going to. If you said not to, we definitely still be talking about it.
I figured you weren't listening to me anyway. So
I mean, Blaine, you're Blaine Spencer, bro. I don't know.
oh, that's a great way to put it.
I don't know. Player props. I like a Sky Moore anytime touchdown. I think we see that. I think we get I also like a Dallas Goedert anytime touchdown. Pat Mahomes over 1.5 is a lock. And Travis Kelce is scoring. Travis Kelce is going to score a touchdown on Sunday as well. So like these are all locks.
Start parlaying them.
I was going back and forth. I think the one that's going to be most interesting is I do think one of these defenses is going to score a touchdown on Sunday. It's just hard to figure out which one, because you look at Pat Mahomes. Like Pat Mahomes is not very turnover prone. I mean, he does throw a lot of turnover worthy balls, but they always seem to, work in his favor where it's incomplete or there's some type of pass interference or something. So it ends up not happening or the defender drops the ball. And then this is an Eagles defense specifically in the secondary that was very stingy. So like, I want to say that the Eagles defense is going to score a touchdown. But I'm actually more inclined to think that the Kansas City defense, specifically Chris Jones, I think scores a touchdown on Sunday.
Wow.
Strip sack or something like that. Kind of like what we saw from Von Miller in Super Bowl 50, just like a strip sack and kind of pick up the ball and run it in. So that one's kind of much more far-fetched, but I mean, this is going to be a great game to watch. It's going to be high scoring. Any time touchdown parlay, I think, with the right combination of players is going to win big money for no matter what combination of players it is.
Kind of. What's the over under for Sunday?
I bet it at 50.5, and I love the under for that.
You love the under.
I love the under for
50.5?
that, and I'll tell you why. I think both defenses are playing way better than anybody's really giving enough respect for. The Eagles offense, as great and prolific as it can be, isn't hitting on all cylinders since Jalen Hurts has come back. AJ Brown has kind of had a step missing a little bit since he's come back from that little tweak of an injury. So, it's just things are a little off right now. But more importantly, the Philadelphia defense has been balling out. I mean, hands down, this is one of the best defensive rosters I can honestly say I've seen in a long time. They are complete top to bottom. And while they don't have depth behind them, if there's an injury in the secondary, it's really a very dangerous team to be playing, especially when you have Avonte Maddox and CJ Gardner-Johnson back healthy. They're not giving up anything. While I do think there's going to be yards given up in this game, I don't know necessarily that there's going to be points given up in this game. So I love the under for this game.
Fair. That's fair. I mean, maybe take a bucker with the field goals over. Maybe if you're getting a lot of yards or something.
I love whatever the field goal number is this week. I would love to take that because I think both coaches are going to want to play it a little safer, knowing they need points in games where both defenses are playing really well. I pulled up the rest of the player props that I bet on, which is probably too many. I also have Dallas Goedert over 4.5. Love that this week. I think that's going to be an absolute necessity if they're going to win. I also saw Quez Watkins, his line's at 1.5, which I think is perfect for him. But I think, again, a successful game for them is more than 2 Quez Watkins receptions. And I'm not talking slants over the middle where he gets bodied. I'm talking go routes where he's taking a D-back one-on-one again on the sideline, using his body for some leverage.
All right. No, I like them. Couple that I got, I think it's an AJ Brown under 72.5 yards. I got to set it. I think it's a little high. The last 2 games, he's been kind of non-existent to say the least.
That's being kind.
Yeah, like the first drive, he catches 2 balls, and after that, you just don't hear about him for 2 or 3 quarters at that point. So I think 72.5 is a lot of yards for him to get. So I like the under there. I think a Jared McKinnon out of the backfield over 22.5 yards receiving. I think it's a good value bet there too. And to go back to what Marcus said with so many times, Travis Kelce's like kind of a given almost in every single week, especially come playoff time right now. I think 17 career games, 15 touchdowns he has in the playoffs or something ridiculous like that. So on pace for almost 1 every game. So you got to put some money on that. And same thing with, I think Miles Sanders gets in too as well. I think it's just kind of a given there. The guy's prone to been scoring touchdowns this season now, especially at the back end, even the playoff time too. So I think that offensive line up front is going to push the Kansas City defensive line around maybe a little bit, especially in the run game, and Sanders is going to score in. That's what I'm thinking there.
Joe, to your
On that
Travis Kelce point. Oh, God, Blaine, sorry.
I was just gonna say, I would be concerned about the Miles Sanders one because when the Eagles have been extremely successful in this postseason, it's been more Kenneth Gainwell later in the second half. So I actually would like him as more of a value at the running back position if you're going to pick any of the three out of Philadelphia. Because I think he's like, Gainwell's like over 11.5. And then, hold on, I got it right here. It's 34.5 rushing and receiving for Gainwell. Like, so that's something that you'd be on the lookout for too if you're looking for some value.
That's fair.
I love Travis Kelce this week for an anytime touchdown and whatever his yards are, because listen, the receiving group that Kansas City has is not all that great, which means Mahomes is going to be forced to look in the middle. And especially with how much zone the Eagles play, I really expect him to find space in those gaps. And he's unstoppable. I mean, there's no successful vision of this game where you can realistically shut Travis Kelce completely down. I mean, even if you have CJ Gardner-Johnson on him in third down passing situations, trying to get those 2.5 seconds of good, clean coverage. I see him getting his way. He's too fast, he's too strong, and he's too smart. He's probably gonna find the answer.
Couldn't agree more. All right, let's get to some fun props here. Super Bowl time. They always have the good stuff, the good props out there. I'm just gonna rattle a couple off here. You're gonna tell me what you think. Color Gatorade. What are we going with here?
I think it's gonna be like something. I'm thinking like I'm gonna go blue. I think blue is a solid color. I feel like they won't go with like the colors that the teams are like being like green or red. So I feel like you have to take those out. I feel like that's like too easy of a guess.
Is it coincidence that you picked blue there? Because
Why?
now you're a closet Cowboys fan?
Oh, yeah. Huge coincidence.
Well, Blaine, the only green Gatorade there is the cucumber Gatorade, I think, and I don't think they're gonna have that at the Super Bowl. So.
All right, so I'm thinking more of the lemon lime, the yellow type deal. All right, whatever. I'm colorblind. Just kidding. Don't say that.
Guy. Who's joking about color blindness as if it's not a serious issue in the world? What a guy.
Oh, I'm doing my Rooney rule. I'm talking about colorblind. I'm just checking every box tonight.
Was that an admission? Did I just hear an admission?
Admission. Full admission.
He did, yeah.
That's all right. Hey, that's
what a
win.
guy.
Marcus,
That's
I did not know anything about this. That is Blaine Spencer here on the Final
Yes,
Whistle.
you know how
believe
little
you,
he knew about this? He thought you were a Midwest guy.
Clearly.
I mean,
which means Blaine didn't do his due diligence telling Joe about me. You know what, Blaine? It's okay.
I'm just gonna be the bad guy all night.
After all we've been through together as podcasters, this is what you're Rooney ruling me on us on the Super Bowl show when we're talking about the first Super Bowl with two black quarterbacks starting. That's unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable. I can't believe you.
This is Blaine Spencer of the Final Whistle, and I'm officially resigning due to.
Oh, jeez, I can't believe you. It's not an official prop, but I have a bet with my friends on what the first song of the halftime show is going to be.
What do you think?
The first song of the halftime show is always with an exception of Justin Timberlake. That's why his sucked. It's always like the artist's one of their most popular songs that like you'll know that everyone will know as soon as the music starts.
Yep.
Justin Timberlake, the idiot he is, decided to start his Super Bowl halftime show with the new song he dropped at the time. I think it was called "Filthy" or something like that. It was very apropos. Terrible idea because his Super Bowl halftime show was also filthy. It's either going to be, I've been battling, it's either going to be Please Don't Stop the Music. And no, actually it's going to be Please Don't Stop the Music.
Yes,
I don't think there's anything else it could be, actually. Unless it's Ponder Replay, but I don't think it's
I was just about to say the only other option
it's one of those two.
Replay.
It's Ponder Replay or Please Don't Stop the Music. I think she's going to start with, whichever one isn't first is going to be second. I know that. But I'm inclined to think it's going to be Please Don't Stop the Music, honestly.
The only other one that I could think, but it seems like you need more hype right off the bat to start, is Stay. because I could see her coming out and saying stay, but it's a slower song. So I'm like, I just don't know if she wants to kill the vibe off the bat and then
I feel
bring it
like
up.
that would be her close song.
All
That'd be
right.
the last one. I feel like kind of wrap up the show. You go slower tempo.
Probably.
Okay. All right.
I hope we don't hear the Black Panther song on there though. It's not that it's a bad song. I just don't want to hear it. I just don't want to hear it.
That's fair. We're gonna definitely see some like people come out of nowhere, right? Like I remember in Atlanta they had oh my god, who they had come out because it was Kendrick and then it was somebody else came out and it was like a surprise. It was like the famous rapper there down there.
The guy on the drums. That
No, I don't know. Usually they always bring somebody that's relative to that city that comes out, but I don't know really anybody that I guess maybe out of Phoenix. I'm not sure. I
No,
would have to look.
she's gonna bring Drake with her,
Oh,
and they're gonna do work together.
has anybody seen who Drake's betting on for the game yet? So I can fade him.
I did not.
Do we know if that's been publicized?
He's probably betting on the Eagles. I wouldn't be surprised.
Good change.
That's fair.
Yeah. Got a mortgage you gotta switch over.
There you go. And all right, last fun thing. First commercial. Who do you think the company's gonna be?
I thought we were gonna get a new Burger King commercial, but they've already dropped their new Burger King commercial, so it's not gonna be Burger King. It's gonna be I think that new Ben Stiller and the other actor commercial. They've been teasing it. I can't think of the other actor's name right now, but I can see his face. They've been teasing a new Pepsi commercial with Ben Stiller and some other famous.
Just taking the context clues. I like that.
I think it's gonna be that commercial. I think it's gonna be the first one we see.
All right. All right.
I'm gonna go more financial here, just because of how much stake they have invested. We're gonna go FanDuel. FanDuel first commercial we see. I mean, when else do you want that commercial to go? I mean, you got people, you can do the live bets. I'm sure they've got the Gronk kick going. I'm betting on FanDuel first commercial.
Blaine, what do you got?
Trying to think like what major companies are based out of the Phoenix Glendale area, because they sometimes will
much into this. Way too much into this.
No, sometimes they like to go. Honestly, I think they might go Tostitos just because they already run the bowl game out there. Tostitos, well, it was the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl before they switched over to PlayStation, but I think Tostitos is one that they'd be on the lookout for sure.
Okay. All
Go
right.
food.
I've been seeing a few more M&M commercials more recently now, especially during the playoffs. I definitely think M&M's is going to be maybe the first one, but who the hell knows? I mean, we're just out here pissing in the wind essentially. So, yeah, a couple fun player props there, and player props to definitely tune into. Let's move on to the next one. Favorite Super Bowl that you have watched, in your opinion, Marcus?
It's watching my Packers win a Super Bowl.
Okay.
Why don't we clean this up a bit, because we know
Exclude your team's
favorite, without your team in it.
Well, there's only two. You guys have it. Us two up top are a little bit more no. So yeah.
My favorite non-Packers Super Bowl. Well, that'll eliminate half the Super Bowls of the last decade, because all the teams in the NFC that made it to the Super Bowl in the last decade beat the Packers to get there, which is depressing. So I actually really enjoyed the 49ers and the Ravens Super Bowl. And I enjoyed that one.
The blackout.
Yeah, the blackout game. I thought that was great. Massive Ray Lewis fan. Loved seeing him go out on top. And I also enjoyed watching Beyonce at the halftime show. So
Wait, she was doing that? I thought she did when she went. They were in San Fran.
she did both.
She did both. Wow, good for her. I thought she did the San Fran one. I didn't think she did that one. All right, Steven, what are you doing? You researching over there? Or I gotta get with Blaine.
You know what's funny is I had this in my head earlier, and it's the play I remember most from like growing up and like really falling in love with football is watching Hines Ward stretch out over the sideline and just secure and toe tap on the edge. And I'm trying to remember what year that was. And I think it was the year they played the Cardinals, right?
Oh, the
Cardinals.
Santonio Holmes catch.
Well, no. He's probably thinking Seattle. The
Oh,
Seattle
I'm thinking
game.
Seattle with Antoine Randall throwing it to Hines Ward, and and the other catch. Honestly, the Pittsburgh Super Bowls, if you ask me, have actually been probably some of the best Super Bowls that we've seen in our lifetimes. Now, with all that said, and I know we put the qualifier on it, I want to see how everybody else feels about this. That Eagles-Patriots Super Bowl was one of the most electric games I've ever watched. Like, objectively, high scoring, big names. You've got reputations on the line. You've got the GOAT in the game itself. To me, when I'm hearing everybody talk about their favorite Super Bowls and it's not in there, again, that's anti-Philly media, but like, to me, it was always actually one of the best games I've ever seen played. I'm curious as to what you guys think.
Objectively, Super Bowl was at 51, 52, 52. That one was, I think, the best of the last 10 years. I don't think there's, I think just like, well, I guess it'd be second best to Patriots Falcons just because of how that game happened as far as coming back down 28-3 to win that game. But like, no, like the Eagles Patriots game was a great game to watch. There were a couple years in there where like the Super Bowl matchup, I think for me personally just wasn't that interesting because it wasn't the two teams that I thought should have been in the Super Bowl. Like the Patriots Rams one, of course, because it sucked, but also because I don't think I really thought we were going to get a Rams Chiefs in that game, and I thought that would have been great. So like there's a couple where it's like it kind of soured it for me because of the team that probably should have been there didn't end up making it. But no, the only Super Bowl in the last 10 years I think that tops Eagles Patriots is Patriots Falcons. That's only because of it having been like the first Super Bowl game to go to overtime and the comeback and the meltdown and all that stuff, and the fact that it's still a meme, and so like you'll never forget.
Sorry,
Joe never forgets that one. It's one of his favorites, right?
Yeah, I just dream about it at night, you know. Yeah, Super Bowl 51 was great. Yeah, it was great for the first half. I'll tell you that. I watched the first half a lot. I'll tell you that.
Then you turn it off.
Yeah, then I turn it off. Blaine, before you go, I'm gonna give mine. I think it was actually Super Bowl 48. I think the Cardinals versus Steelers was a great matchup. I mean,
that was mine.
We had the James Harrison
Get a new
return. What's that?
That was mine, but now I gotta think of a different one. So appreciate you.
We had the James Harrison fumble return right before the half, which Larry Fitzgerald almost comes down and tackles him right before it. We had the Larry Fitzgerald like 40-50 yard catch touchdown, making two guys miss. And then we also had this Antonio Holmes catch at the end, toe tapping in and find his way in. And if we think about it, man, there was a lot of Hall of Fame guys in that game. I mean, you had Big Ben, James Harrison, you had Larry Fitzgerald, Kurt Warner was on the other side, like a lot of big names.
Anquan Bolden.
Yeah, like there was some big names in that Super Bowl. At the time, we didn't think of it, but now you think of it, you're like, wow, that's a lot of big names that could probably are going to be in the Hall of Fame. But yeah, Super Bowl 48. I mean, Super Bowl 51 would have been it, but yeah, here we are, 28-3 later. So
It's a fair assessment, Joe. You know, you're gonna hold that one for the rest of your life because I don't think they're getting back anytime soon.
Blaine, were you alive the last time the Commanders won a Super Bowl?
No, so I'm just gonna shut my mouth now after I made that comment. So thanks, Marcus. Appreciate you. Let's see. What was another one? I mean, one that like I kind of remember, but not really. You could do the Super Bowl, the tackle where the Rams win. Tennessee gets tackled at the 1 yard line on the Jerome Dyson catch over the middle. Like that's one that like I barely kind of like, that's when I started to actually kind of remember football. So like that was that's another one that you go out. And then you could also just talk about the coveted don't hand it off to Marshawn Lynch Super Bowl as well. Seattle, New England, where Tom wins because of the technicality of how the team wanted to give Russell Wilson his moment. Did you guys hear about that this week? That kind of got leaked out that by that in the Seattle like area, that one of the things was that they didn't want to have Marshawn Lynch be the guy on the goal line and kind of insinuate that Russell Wilson is his team, and that's why they threw the ball. Like it went over Pete Carroll's head.
How does something like that go over the head coach? Like
I don't
that
know.
can't be real,
See,
right?
that would be my counter, right? You would think like Pete would just be like, no, but he would have to sign off on that for that to even happen. So like, I don't know. That was one of the things that like I was hearing these last couple of days that like from like the people on ESPN, some of the pundits over there, and I was like, wow, like that's crazy if that's actually true.
There were some weird Super Bowls in that time frame because we had the Broncos Super Bowl against the Seahawks where they couldn't even start the first play. They had Peyton miss the snap, right? And he goes back and either it was a safety, right? That first play. Like, first off, best bet of all time betting safety on the first play. Makes you a millionaire putting $1 down. But, you know, that was a weird year. And then they come back and Peyton gets his and rides off to the sunset, but he doesn't look like Peyton. They get
Right.
that from everybody else playing well. So there were a few weird Super Bowls in there. There's something about that last game of the year because the BCS has this issue. The Super Bowl has this issue where it's like, it's not the best game of the year. You want it to be. You work so hard to make it the two best teams playing in the best game under the best scenarios. But I don't know if it's because adrenaline's too high or excitement's too high, but it's usually not the game of the year. I mean, even last year, when we look back to Bills Chiefs was really the game of the year, the way that ended with the shootout in the last 2 minutes to change the game total by 30 points almost. So, you know, those are the kinds of games we want to see as fans in this. And that's why I think, you know, like objectively that Philly New England Super Bowl matchup was one of the better ones. But listen, the Malcolm Butler play is iconic. And there's certainly more than a few in there in our lifetime that we'll never forget. And shout out the late and great Franco Harris from my high school, who I just got to, you know, slide a little RIP in there with his passing over the past year. But we went to the same high school together. And the catch is one of the biggest plays of all time, too. So, you know, obviously there's great moments, but I feel like it's 50-50 on whether or not you're going to get a complete dud in this game.
The national championship was a perfect example of that this year.
Not exactly a game, I think we would all say. And when you're up by 50, maybe pump the brakes.
I mean, it was one team was playing football, the other team was playing Pee Wee.
All right, let's move on here. Let's
do some rapid fire.
Yeah, I want to put a little scenario out here. We'll start with more scenario one. Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl here. If Hurts wins it, then where would you rank Hurts in terms of the quarterbacks now in the league? In terms of top 5, top 10, top 15, top 20, where would you put him at if he wins this Super Bowl?
And that's hard. I'm trying to do the ranking in my head right now. I guess I can
Marcus
go first.
is giggling. What do you got? Yeah, go
I've
ahead.
got him in the 10 to 15 range, but Marcus obviously has something to say.
10 to 15?
I'm trying to do 10 quarterbacks in front of me right now. I'm thinking. All right, relax. It's probably more on the edge of top 10. I'm trying to do names in my head right now.
Joe, I've got an easy answer for you. The answer should be 6.
Okay.
Okay,
Listen,
who are you putting ahead of him then?
Listen,
Who's ahead and who's behind?
Burrow, Allen, and Mahomes are the top 3, right? There's really no discussion about that. I know Taylor Heineke's made a real push this year to at least, you know, be in the conversation.
Oh,
just
fuck
kidding.
You.
That's an easy 3. The reality is you could say Justin Herbert at 4. I personally, like, again, this is my biased Eagle fan take, is like I would put Hurts at 4, especially if you look at his EPA per play, you look at his lack of turnovers, you look at how he navigates that offense. He's probably number 4, but I'm going to put him back and move him back a little bit just because everybody else is going to tell me I'm crazy. So you could put Justin Herbert there at 4, and then you already have a hard time finding number 5 that's going to be ahead of him. I mean, nobody played this season better than Jalen Hurts other than maybe Patrick Mahomes, because Mahomes has less weaponry than Hurts does. But the simple fact is this kid has been playing top 2, top 3 level quarterback for the year. Now, I think Josh Allen had some injuries that we're going to end up finding out about over the summer. because some of those turnovers he had were just mind-blaringly bad. And I think he returns to MVP caliber form next year. So, okay, so between those three and Burrow, or those two and Burrow, sure, that's a lock. Another year like this, there's no doubt that Jalen Hurts can crack that top 3 list maybe, but for right now, I think he's got to be in the 4 to 6 range. 10 to 15 feels disrespectful. That's where I have
him
Geno
right now
Smith
in the 8 to 10 range based off of my list.
You have Geno Smith as a top 10 quarterback in 10 to 15.
10 to 15, absolutely.
Oh, mother of Moses.
Quarterback is a really
Are we putting Brady in the list? Like that's a
What a dumb question to ask, Blaine Spencer. What a dumb question to ask.
Just because you asked that, you need to take a picture like Tom Brady did 2 days ago.
I'm uncomfortable. I open my Instagram news and I just see that. The first thing I wake up in the morning, like, let me get coffee. Post that at noon. All right. I don't need to see that at like 7 a.m. Like, sure, it saves as my wallpaper, but give me some time to process.
Amen. Marcus, what do you got over there, man? What do you think he's sitting at?
This list is obviously extremely
22.
long.
Marcus, I have him at 22. Oh,
no, I don't have him at 22. I do think this discourse around Jalen Hurts is funny to me. It is. It's funny. I'll be honest. There are 3 quarterbacks in football today, right, that I would take over Jalen Hurts at their best. I would. And I don't mean the obvious 3. I mean 3 guys that didn't have their great of seasons this season. But if they return next season at their best, they're better than Jalen Hurts. That's Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, and Aaron Rodgers. So if you're asking me, well, let me get there.
Okay.
Let me get there. There are like 5 quarterbacks to me that are no-brainer better than Jalen Hurts. Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson. Those are the 5 guys in football that are no-brainers to me better than Jalen Hurts. And Mahomes is going to prove that on Sunday. Then you've got Watson, Rodgers, and Wilson, who, like, at their best are also better than Jalen Hurts, but we don't know if they have more best next season. Me personally, just preference-wise, I personally think that Trevor Lawrence is better than Jalen Hurts. I do. I think he's better than Jalen Hurts. I think he's a better decision maker. I think he has a better arm. He's more accurate. And all that. And then so, like, to me, Jalen Hurts is right now in the same category with, like,
I swear, if you say Kirk Cousins.
No.
Okay.
No, he's better than Kirk Cousins. To me, hold on, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jalen Hurts, to me, is like the 11th best quarterback in football. Win or lose on Sunday, he's the 11th best quarterback.
You have just invoked the name of 2 of the least valuable players in this league, in this conversation.
Ooh.
Both Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson, teams gave up fortunes and are paying fortunes to, and potentially ruin their franchises over, and played terrible football.
Well, Deshaun Watson
played like them over. I don't care what their peak was, because it's in the past. Okay, I'm taking a guy on an upward trajectory over Russell Wilson, who's frankly been declining for 4 years, right? And Deshaun Watson, who had a few great years, and I'm not going to deny that, like 3 or 4 great years before stuff happened. And, he was a great quarterback. We saw him run an offense that was as efficient as the one and only Jacoby Brissett. So how you can even bring those names up in this conversation is just mind-blowing to me.
Well, there's a couple things with Deshaun Watson. Number 1, he missed a year and a half of football. 1, because of injury. 2, because he couldn't keep his hands to himself. And so he didn't play many games this year.
I was going to say, not an injury didn't have anything to do with the last.
Well, the first part was he was hurt, and so he decided not to play, and then he couldn't keep his hands to himself.
Was it the swelling from the injury that caused the rest of the suspension?
I don't know. It could have been. Like, I don't know. I keep my hands to myself. I was raised right. I don't know about Deshaun Watson. But, like, we can't sit here and act like Deshaun Watson, before he forgot how to keep his hands to himself, wasn't a top 5 quarterback in football. And Deshaun Watson, I think, at his best in Cleveland, I think can return to, at the very least, top 5 to 7 form as a quarterback once he's gotten back into the swing of things. I also think, even though he had a really, really, really bad year this year, I think Russell Wilson at his best, like if Russell Wilson returns to his best next season, and I don't mean prime Russell Wilson, because I agree with you, Russell Wilson's prime is behind him, but I mean like a Russell Wilson that is efficient, that puts the ball where it needs to be, that's accurate, and that has the best deep ball in football, or one of the best deep balls in football, like that Russell Wilson, like the Russell Wilson we saw the last time the Seahawks made the playoffs, like that guy that kind of was like in the conversation to be MVP before the Seahawks did what Seahawks do, and he was no longer like that. Russell Wilson, I think, is better than Jalen Hurts. I also know for a fact, because I watch him play every week of the season, that Aaron Rodgers at his best is also better than Jalen Hurts. This is no disrespect to Jalen Hurts, but like he's just not there yet.
I didn't say Aaron Rodgers.
I think
because I personally believe he's the best arm talent to ever come into the league. I'm not going to say best quarterback, all of that. I've never seen somebody spin it off their back leg and throw an absolute dime on an out route, not 40 yards down the field as he's falling backwards the way he does with a perfect spiral. That is a Hall of Fame quarterback who is a legend in his own right, who is one of the best arm talents. The other two, I find, frankly, offensive. They're in the conversation.
My preference on Jalen Hurts is such my position on Jalen Hurts is such that this season has been great. The season has been phenomenal, and I'm not going to sit here and act like that he hasn't played great football, because he has. Jalen Hurts has played great football this season. I would be more interested in at least going the extent that you're going as far as pushing him into the upper echelon as far as being top 5 if he replicates what he did this season next season. Like that's and I've been like very consistent with that across all players, right? Like I felt that way about Cooper Kupp last season. I did like Cooper Kupp's season last season was great, but Vontae Adams, despite Cooper Kupp's triple crown, was still the best receiver in football in my eyes after last season. I felt the same way about Jonathan Taylor, right? Jonathan Taylor had a great season last season, but until he does that consistently. So for me, Jalen Hurts played great football. If Jalen Hurts comes back next season and has another MVP caliber season where he's not turning the ball over, where he's the reason why the Eagles are winning, where he's the reason why the Eagles are competitive and in position to compete for a championship, I have no problem saying, okay, Jalen Hurts is one of the top 5 or top 3 or wherever you want to put him in the NFL. Right now, for me, this could be like the Cam Newton season, when Cam Newton played out of his mind. They went to the Super Bowl, and then we didn't really see much of that after that. Like this could be one of those seasons. Like they just had a really great year, and everything was clicking for him, and it all worked out. And then next season, he comes back down to earth a little bit, and he is young. So like chances are that could happen because he's young. Chances are it couldn't happen because he's been there, he's done that. And whether he wins or loses on Sunday, he'll have the T-shirt to show that he's at least been to a Super Bowl. I love Jalen Hurts. I think he's great. I'm a fan of Jalen Hurts. I thought he was going to be like a game manager by the end of the season. I didn't think he was going to be first or second in MVP votes by the end of this season. So he's definitely exceeding expectations. I say this, and Blaine doesn't like that I say this, but I mean, that's because Blaine doesn't like anything that's wise. I would much rather, when it comes to ranking these players and calling them great, I'd much rather be late to the party than be super early and dead wrong. And like, I feel like there's a high chance that like Jalen Hurts next season is boom or bust, because I don't think there was much expectations or much like pressure on Jalen Hurts this season coming into this season, and he was able to kind of go out there and kind of be this free. I know he was kind of like, is he the future? He's young. He was going to be the future. There was no way, no matter what happened this season, he was going to draft a quarterback. But next season, there's going to be expectations. There's going to be pressure on Jalen Hurts. And I think if he fails to meet those expectations of being one of the best quarterbacks in football and being a quarterback that can lead a team to a championship, then it's going to be hard pressed for me to put him up there in the conversation with Mahomes and a Burrow and Allen and a Jackson and a Herbert. In my opinion.
Who doesn't want to be early and take young? And who cares about them proving themselves? Joe knows for a fact I call Shake Milton the best contract in the damn NBA because he signed him 5 years ago to like a 10-year or a 5-year $8 million contract or something stupid. And here he is occasionally once a month putting up like a 30-point game. And that's exactly what I want from him. Can I actually also ask you guys, and Blaine, I want to hear your take on this, especially MVP. To me, Jalen Hurts' cap hit is what, $1.5 million? What $1.5 million player proportionally has ever put on a performance or has come close to the performance like this the whole year? Is it supposed to be player of the year, most talented, most likely to hit the Hall of Fame, or is it not? Literally called the most valuable player.
So that's the way I view MVP. And Joe and I kind of touched upon this a couple of weeks ago with how it was released. And somehow I know Josh Allen, like they led the Buffalo Bills like 13 wins. Like I found it outlandish that he was actually one of the finalists for most valuable player, in my opinion, especially in the second half of the year after the injury. Like there's no way to if fans or buts about it. He has a UCL injury, and his production teetered off, and he was the most turnover prone quarterback in the red zone this year, which was hurting his football team from being even better than where they already were. For me, I identify as most valuable. For me, my pick would be Patrick Mahomes because I think he is the most valuable to his team this season. Is Jalen Hurts probably number 2 or number 3? Yes, I think Justin Jefferson should be in the top 3 conversation there as well. But he'll probably win Offensive Player of the Year because it's a quarterback award now, which is I don't agree with that. I think it should be more towards how the college football looks at it at positions with awards, like quarterback of the year, running back of the year, wide receiver of the year. You do it that way. Because I think the MVP and the Heisman Trophy on both ends have just become a quarterback award, and it's honestly pointless. And you'll get the one miracle season a year where someone else will win it outside of them. So I honestly don't even like the award anymore personally, because I view it in a completely different limelight than how it's looked at in the NFL and in college football.
I agree. And I think that's why I said is for $1.5 million, nobody's got a better player, a more impactful player on their team anywhere across the league. That's why I think, and you can make a case, Justin Jefferson is on his rookie contract. That's where I think this conversation should be 1 and 2, right? Mahomes probably should also be in there. I mean, God, this guy's put on one of the best passing displays without a true number 1 receiver that we've ever seen. That offense is the top passing offense in the league, and their best
without
receiver
Tyreek. Yeah.
Which is just ridiculous. So I have no problem with the Hurts and the Mahomes and the Jefferson being in there. But to your point, Josh Allen being in there, it's just makes no sense. The guy's making $40 million and he didn't have a great year. He had a good year. He didn't have a great year.
Who didn't have a great year? Sorry, I was reading a tweet.
Josh Allen.
Oh, I 100% agree. I've crucified Josh Allen all season. So,
Joe, you're up.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Marcus. I was kind of thinking that even before he started saying it. Like, you have guys that had injury seasons or had a suspension that came into the season, so that were playing outstanding ball. Deshaun Watson literally had nothing in Houston, and was still able to make the playoffs, was still able to win a game in the playoffs, and
Can't roided up Will Fuller.
Yeah, and got the chance to throw it up to DeAndre Hopkins with no offensive line. Yeah, great. Fantastic stuff. But then you also got to look at like Lamar Jackson, who missed again half the season. Lamar Jackson, but he has the ball in his hands in the fourth quarter, has a chance to win the ball game every single time. Every single time that man has a chance to win. So, yeah, no, I agree. I have him more like around that 9, maybe 11 range, if I had to say anything. But I also look at it like this, right? You pull out Jalen Hurts and you put one of them quarterbacks in. Do they do the same thing as Jalen Hurts would? And the answer is 9 or 10 out quarterbacks can do that job, or if not better. I agree. I told you today, Chris Sims said it best today, and I completely agree with what he said. That Eagles team is set up for that offense, or set up for Jalen Hurts to do so well, just because that offensive line is probably the best offensive line this year, if not one of the best offensive lines we've seen over the last 5 to 7 years. Then on top of it, you have 2 great ball catchers with a great tight end and a decent run game. I mean, he is set up for success. So if you put in guys like a Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, they're going to do better than what Jalen Hurts did this year. And that's why I would have him more at that 9 to 11 range. But I also agree with the consistency side of things. We have only really seen one very, very good season now of Jalen Hurts. Granted, last year was kind of more of his rookie year, I guess it would be to say. But this year, he balled out. What's going to happen next year now? When guys start leaving, Jason Kelsey may retire. Then what happens if Lane Johnson's out the way? Okay, then what happens if Smitty doesn't take that jump to the top 5 wide receiver that you're saying he fucking is? He's no shot as he is. What happens when Miles Sanders leaves? Who's going to be the running back that day? You know, you got all these scenarios to come into play, and it all is going to come down to Hurts. And with the expectations on his shoulders, what is going to happen? So then I'm going to be more interested to see, okay, is he a top 5 quarterback, or is he more at that, 9 to 12 range that I keep saying?
That's fair. I think.
I
mean,
think.
go ahead, Marcus.
No, go ahead.
I mean, I think the biggest thing that we're the three of us, especially Marcus and Joe, are looking at is they want to see it over time. And we've kind of seen, probably maybe outside of Lawrence, who had only this year as his breakout season so far. Same with kind of Jalen. They're both in that same category. That all of these other quarterbacks you've seen it multiple seasons now that like they have ascended and almost stayed there, other than probably outside of Deshaun Watson, and because of off the field issues there is why. But he's had that consistency for 3 to 4 years when he was at his best on the football field in Houston.
I think we're getting mixed up with arm talent and quarterback play, because in my mind, while one is an important part of the other, it's not the entirety of it. Quarterback play involves who you're reading, what you're seeing pre-snap, what plays you're checking to, knowing the tendencies of the defense. There's a reason Jalen Hurts has had 7 turnovers this year or something stupid low. It's because he knows what's coming. It's not about his athleticism or his arm or just being a game manager. It's about all of it, right? It's the fact that he takes everything that he's put together and put forth, which is why I firmly believe he is probably number 5 or 6 in the league. I would maybe take Lamar to take his spot, but even at that, I probably not right now. I mean, Jalen stays healthy and takes less risks. I mean, keeping the ball in your team's possession is one of the most important things a quarterback can do. And he does that better than anyone in the league has done this year. And he's still taking shots and he's still playing the deep ball. So to me, it's not as 9 or 10 as much as 4 or 5.
Right.
But that's just my
fair. I feel like though the offense would be ran completely different though for outside of Lamar, Josh Allen, and Mahomes for Hurts. Those 4 guys would maybe run a similar offense to what's already been running in Philly. Every other guy, they would change the offense to more of a prototypical style.
I don't disagree with that, but isn't the point of coaching is to make a scheme that best fits the players you have?
If you take triple concussed Tua, so like week 1 and 2 Tua and how great he was playing, and you put him on this Eagles team, that Tua that was playing great football and was, even after having got concussed the first time and having come back and played a bit before the second and then the third one, was kind of in the MVP conversation before we realized his brains were truly scrambled. I think you put that Tua on this team still plays well. And so again, for me, Hurts is phenomenal. He's a phenomenal talent as a football player, as a quarterback. He is extremely talented. And if we're ranking talent, I have no argument as far as him being top 5. I think he is definitely a top 5 talent. For me personally, especially at the quarterback position, it's just all about consistency. And Jalen Hurts, I think this season, because Joe's right. If Jason Kelce retires this season, which it's very possible, right? And if Lane Johnson retires this season, which is also very possible, right? Those are 2 Hall of Fame offensive linemen that they're going to have to replace. And if they don't replace them, you're talking about an O-line that's one of the best in football and has been among one of the best in football for the past, as Joe said, 5-7 years, not as great. So now you're putting Jalen Hurts in a Joe Burrow type of situation where he's getting hit more and he's going to have pass rush in his face more. Is he still going to be as efficient with the football? Is he still going to be able to make those throws the way he did this season? And so I think Jalen Hurts, again, he's great, or he's played great so far. He's had a phenomenal season, an MVP caliber season. Dare I say, if they win the Super Bowl on Sunday, this MVP season from Jalen Hurts will be better than Lamar Jackson's MVP season, off the simple fact that this one resulted in a Super Bowl and a deep playoff run, and it meant something, right? And obviously there's more weapons. But if Jalen Hurts doesn't have the consistency around him offensively that he had this season, it'll be interesting to see if he can still maintain the high level of production that he produced this season. That's my only
As a
hesitation.
Jalen stan, you're arguing about consistency and longevity and all that, and then you bring Tua into the conversation, who didn't even get through the whole year. Not his fault, but like that's even less of the same argument. You know
Well,
what
the
I mean?
idea,
Like,
well, right, but the idea is that Jalen and Tua more or less have played roughly the same amount of games, and we've seen flashes from Tua when he's healthy of his ability to play exceptional football. We saw Jalen Hurts play exceptional football all season. So all I'm saying is, right now, I think Jalen Hurts right now is closer to the likes of like Kyler Murray and Tua as 10 to 15s than he is to Mahomes and Burrow and Allen and Herbert. And it's not because he's bad. It's just because he has to do it again.
if you show me film of Tua left-handed, I'll disagree. But if you reverse the film and do like somebody did on Instagram and show me right-handed Tua, I might actually agree. He looks so much better as a righty. I know it's so stupid, but my God, his trigger looks so fast when he's right-handed. But when he's lefty, it looks slow. I don't know why. It works.
Well, let's have him make some picks, huh? I think we're about at that time to make some picks. We good with that? I know I feel like Steven and Marcus have kind of insinuated where they're going, but I just want to hear them actually say it. Steve, let's start with you. Who you got? I mean, you got your Eagles gear on, so I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm siding with the favorites here, and not only to cover. I have an alternate spread. I think, Marcus, to your point, I actually have been taking the defensive touchdown into account. I think there's going to be a backdoor cover of 10.5. I think the score might not look like the game, but I do believe 10.5 is the right line. I like it. I think it ends up being a pretty big victory for the Eagles on paper, but I believe the game plays out a little closer than that, and I still like the under.
Marcus, what do you got?
I've bet against Patrick Mahomes.
Do it.
Twice.
Join us.
Postseason. I've been wrong, unfortunately. I've been wrong, unfortunately, betting against Pat Mahomes. But both times, I would say, were warranted. I betted against Pat Mahomes in the AFC Championship game against Joseph Lee Burrow and the Bengals. I thought that was more than warranted, given he had to beat the team. Also, bet against Pat Mahomes against the Jaguars. That's just because I really wanted to see Trevor Lawrence versus Joe Burrow. I have a hard time thinking that the Eagles can win this game. It's not because they're bad, and it's not going to be a blowout. I really, really, really do think, though, that this game ultimately is going to come down to Nick Sirianni and Andy Reid. And like, I know the Chiefs are like without their top 3 receivers, and I know they just placed Mecole Hardman on IR a couple of days ago, and like they've still got Travis Kelce, and that's obvious that they're going to go to Travis Kelce, and the O-line's a little bit banged up, and like they've got injuries all over. But like Andy Reid's the better coach, and Andy Reid's going to find a way to keep the Chiefs looking like the Chiefs despite all the injuries. And as much as I would love to see the Eagles beat the Chiefs, because it's so easy to hate on the Chiefs, and because I think that make the Eagles the only team to have beaten Tom Brady, the GOAT, and apparently who the medium is already crowning the baby GOAT and Pat Mahomes. Like that would be nice to see. I don't see Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs losing 2 Super Bowls in the same manner, where like they're outgunned in the trenches and they're outgunned defensively, and Pat Mahomes is just going to be running around for his life. I don't see that. I think it's going to be this Eagles team, aside from the offensive firepower, specifically defensively, is a lot like the Bucs defense. It's a bit better, obviously, but it's all the same. And I think the Chiefs have a game plan for that. To me, it's going to come down to Andy Reid and Nick Sirianni. And I might bet against Pat Mahomes, but I'll never bet against Big Red. So I have the Chiefs winning by a field goal, though. Like, it's going to be a close one. It's going to be a close one for sure.
Joe, what do you got?
Well, I think it's fitting to say here, I think when Jalen Hurts got the script for this year, he was pretty hyped about it. I think that's fair to say. I think Nick Sirianni was pretty hyped about it. I think the Kansas City Chiefs were hyped about it until they saw, come February, February 11th, February 12th, when the game is, they weren't too thrilled about it. I got the Eagles winning this one, 28-23. I think it's a good game, close game. I think Jackson Mahomes makes maybe 2 or 3 TikToks in it as well. You might see that too as well. But yeah, ultimately in the end, I think it's an Eagles win. I think my initial thought in the earlier of the week was, the Eagles are going to kind of beat them down. They're going to win by 10, 12 points. But personally, over the time thinking about this, I think the Eagles' buttholes are going to be a little tighter than the Kansas City since they've been there before. But that's just my opinion. And that's what I think. I still think the Eagles are a better football team in the end. And I think they're able to win the game. I could see it definitely still being close in the third, fourth quarter, but I think the Eagles pull away in the end. 28-23.
So Joe, you have their sphincter meter like all the way in the red, is what you're telling me?
Heavy red.
Heavy in the red.
Oh no. We've gone off the rails.
The
But
rest are already off, Blaine. I mean,
they were off 30 seconds in.
Yeah, we started 30 seconds in, man.
But Marcus,
It's ridiculous.
I know. It's how dare I? And I was not my intention. Marcus, you're gonna be left on an island with this one. I'm gonna have to ride.
I'm already left on an island. I'm only black guy here, Blaine. Look. I'm already on an island, Blaine.
I got the Eagles winning 31-27. Joe, wrap us up. Like we're done here.
Oh God, Jesus, Marcus, you took this man in a whirl spin right now.
Wow. Bodied them.
Jeez. All right, so we got 3-1. Birds taking the Super
Steve
Bowl.
Martin. That's his name. The other white actor in the Pepsi commercial with Ben Stiller.
Jesus.
I'm sorry. It just came to me. I've been thinking about it all night. It just came to me. My
Oh,
bad. Steve Martin is his name.
Oh man. Yes, Steve Martin. Yeah, that'll be the first commercial with Ben Affleck, you know. Oh man, good stuff. Yeah, no, another great episode here on the Final Whistle. Big shout out to Steve and Marcus for hopping us on. Steve Forney, I know nobody can follow you anywhere. I don't even want to follow your Twitter because all it is Sixers talk. Marcus, where can they follow you at?
Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook at GTP Marcus, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Go Talk with Marcus. Doing a live show on Friday, Super Bowl preview, much like this one without Blaine Spencer, so it'll be better. Joe, you're more than welcome to come on if you'd like. It's also the season finale.
I get invited to this, Blaine. I thought you told me you were in it.
Huh?
I thought you told me we were in it.
No, we were supposed to be on another show tonight, but I had to cancel because we had to record today.
Oh, you're killing me here, Blaine. Jesus.
Yeah, Blaine's not a good host. If you want to jump ship to a more competent host, Joe, there's always a seat open on Go Talk with Marcus.
I appreciate that.
At least one not afraid of the big issues, you know.
Not at all. No, I don't shy away from the big issues. I'm like Mr. Rooney Rule up there with the college football hat on. No, but yeah, it is almost that's the last episode of season 2, and then I'm taking a break so I can get my mind right for season 3.
Can't wait for that, man. I can't wait to do the all season stuff. That's gonna be good stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's gonna be good. Yeah, you can always check out the Final Whistle, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I know we got it on there, Spotify. Where, Blaine, am I missing anything else?
Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio.
There we
on
go.
that too.
There we go. Yeah, for another episode here. Make sure you tune back in next week. We'll definitely take a recap of the Super Bowl and much more. So
I might be on suspension because there's going to be a complaint filed by Go Talk with Marcus. I might no longer be allowed to be on the show, apparently.
Yeah, I'll be doing it solo, so that'll always be nice. So, well, guys, thanks for hopping on.
What they want to do about it.
Well, thanks again for hopping on, guys. Really appreciate it. And yeah, that checks out for the Final Whistle. Catch y'all next week.